Today is the first day of the annual JanSport Rainier climb, where JanSport employees, retail partners, and industry partners get together for an experience on the mountain. JanSport was founded in 1967 in Seattle, so Rainier is essentially the backyard of JanSport. For almost 40 years now, since 1972, we've been doing the JanSport Rainier climb.
We're coming up on the 40th year of this climb, and the good news is the mountain, as far as I know, hasn't changed. It's still 14,411 feet. And for JanSport, this Rainier climb really celebrates that history and tradition.
Hard to believe it's been 40 years on the mountain, and we're looking forward to another 40 years.
International Mountain Guides is a guide service that does climbs all over the world.
Today we have our 16 climbers arriving, and the first thing we're going to do is divide them into our two groups, one for the Emmons Glacier and the other for the Disappointment Cleaver route.
They're getting all the stuff they'll need to make sure that they can successfully summit Rainier in just a couple of days.
Evan will go through and make sure everybody has everything they need for the climb.
The top 4 pieces of gear that I would recommend is really good food, a warm pair of boots, nice warm gloves, and a really good backpack.
The hardest thing about the Rainier trip is the fact that it is just so darn strenuous.
I don't know how difficult they think it's going to be, but all I can say is I hope they're in the best shape of their life.
Day one, we'll leave from White River Campground into really dense forest. Oftentimes you get to see some wildlife. Last time I was up there, we did get to see a bear. After that, we pushed up to the Interglacier, which is right next to the Emmons Glacier. We did some training. Once we got onto the glacier, we practiced self-arrest. We teach them how to communicate if there is a fall.
Falling! We want George down in Ashford to jump out of his office chair and hit the ground and self-arrest. Someone fell.
To be successful as a mountain guide, you really need to enjoy working with people, to be able to understand what motivates folks and have some fun in the process. The second day of the climb takes the group from 8,000 to about 10,000 feet at Camp Sherman.
When we come to the mountains, there's that sense of freedom, of individuality. But with mountaineering comes that essence of teamwork. We have to work together, and if we don't work together, we won't go anywhere.
The camaraderie that comes out of the JanSport Rainier climb for the participants that have been a part of it for the last 40 years is something that sticks with them forever.
When you're working as a team, that encouragement that we provide each other is what's going to help people get them up the hill.
This group is motivated. I hear a lot of laughter and smiling coming from the group, and that's awesome for the guides.
JanSport equipment has evolved due to the direct input from the guides that we've worked with on Rainier. We can continue to innovate and bring new and fresh ideas to the market that's been guide tested and guide approved.
We've seen so many wonderful changes in equipment.
We have it so much easier with gear technology and information. I can't imagine what it was like 40 years ago.
These guys were pioneering a lot of the routes all over the world with really, really heavy gear. In 1984, Phil Urschler summited Mount Everest carrying a JanSport pack. And when I carry a JanSport pack, I feel like I'm part of that climb, I'm part of that history.
I'm seeing things that I have never stepped foot on. To actually walk this mountain is just unbelievable.
I think we have a lot of noise in our regular lives, and when I head up on the hill, it's silent. I love it.
On the summit day, the group normally gets up before midnight.
We're about to go crush the Emmons.
And it's a full day of glacier travel, zigzagging around the crevasses, normally reaching the summit in somewhere between 6 and 8 hours.
Yesterday morning was one of the coldest mornings I've had on the mountain.
I asked my friend to knit me a really bright scarf in case it was terrible weather on the top. It's awesome.
I left wearing more clothes than I think I've ever worn on a summit climb before.
We crested 13,200 feet, and all of a sudden it was just a sustained 30 to 40 mile an hour wind. It made for a very cold morning, as you could probably tell from my face. It's one of the mountains where you actually don't get to a pinnacle or a point. You're basically looking out over this expanse of a volcanic crater. It's quite breathtaking.
That's the most exhausting thing I've ever done. It's the closest to just wanting to quit I've ever come without actually quitting. But the best I've ever felt about finishing.
You know, up here, you get up here and then everything that you suffered just instantly goes away.
This 2011 JanSport Rainier climb was absolutely incredible. Climbing from the Emmons side of the mountain, we got 12 of 12 to the top.
Signing the summit register. Writing down, see you, Molly and Abby, to my little girl and my wife.
Getting 100% to the top is huge, and standing 12 on 12 yesterday morning on the top was fantastic.
Day 4, we'll wake up from that night of long climbing. We'll saddle all our packs up, walking back down the way we came up, down that interglacier, following the White River back to White River Campground, where we'll be greeted by our IMG van.
It was a very pleasant walk. I think there were high spirits by all, and we got to finish together, which is always a great feeling.
We are done with the JanSport Emmons climb. We are in the search of a cold Rainier beer and some people to brag to.
Sitting in the lounge, being able to sign the summit board at the end, I felt like I was sitting with 8 new friends. The climb's done, everyone's safe. It's even more exciting when everyone finishes together.
Of course, we all get off the mountain that day. We've been up since midnight, working hard and a little dehydrated, and sat down to a great dinner and a few toasts and awards of certificates, and it was a really fun, raucous time, and had a great band playing, and fun was had by all.
I'd just like to thank JanSport. It's amazing how we're all working together and just looking out for one another. I've never been in such a team environment, laughing and singing and just having a great time. It's a milestone. It's 40 years of climbing Mount Rainier.